Oh boy. Hello everybody and welcome back to the greatest live show of all time. That is right, everybody. Now, before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that for those of you that are watching the VOD on YouTube, I always make sure to include timestamps in the description below after the fact, so if you want to skip around for whatever wacky reason, feel free to do so. Now, some of you may have noticed that this is a continuation of my last stream. Wow. How incredibly wacky and cool. I know. Yeah, anyways. Where was I going? I don't remember. But yeah, hi everybody. Very sorry that the stream abruptly ended. My Wi-Fi took a big fat shit. Again. And, yeah, I'm not very happy about that. But it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes my Wi-Fi does that. So if you want to help me out, promote the stream algorithmically after the unfair shit I've had to go through as a result of my Wi-Fi being shit, smash like. Regardless, yes, greetings and salutations, everybody. Wouldn't it be so cringe if Femyoz wore a very short skirt on stream? Shouldn't do it. That'd be so cringe. Yeah, so true. That is right, everybody. This is part 2 of the last stream. Everybody, shut up. Hi again. So cute the stream ended. That's not... Okay, I get it. It's your baby trans phase, but please go to a thrift store. Shut up. Let me enjoy my baby trans phase. Okay, anyways. Femyoz, do you miss the rage? I want Femyoz to dom me. I mean, I'm tempted to rage, but I gotta hold myself together. But yeah, anyways, without further ado, why don't we get started? So, the video we're gonna be watching today is about an hour and 25 minutes long. It's called Trans Conservatives versus Trans Liberals. It has Blaire White in it. I'm not a big fan of Blaire White. Now, on the previous stream, we watched a small amount of this, but we didn't get very far. So we're just going to go from the start and briefly address some of the points and then go from there. But, yeah.
It is a safety concern for trans women to share a female restroom.
No. Like I said in the previous stream, it's not borne out in the data. It is a safety concern for trans women to share a restroom with men. That's a safety concern because trans women are more at risk if they go into the men's restroom because, you know, we might get fucking hate crimed or assaulted. But, yeah. No, it's not a safety concern. Trans women are not disproportionately violent or sexually predatory towards women.
Can the agreeers please step forward?
Before we begin this episode, we know there's been a
the video.
And that trans women, it all comes down to self-ID. When we moved into a self-ID process, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of men just simply self-IDing into being trans women to utilize the female restroom and to harm women.
Functionally speaking, this never happens. Like, oh, there was like one example of a predatory trans woman, therefore trans women who don't pass don't belong. Well, that's fucking stupid, right? Not all trans women who don't pass, in fact, the vast majority of the ones that don't pass are not predatory, right? The same way you wouldn't be like, oh, cis women shouldn't be able to go into women's restrooms because there was one predatory cis woman. It's fucking stupid.
Just be there. They're getting arousal from just being there.
You know, there was a photo or it was a video that went viral, I think like just 2 weeks ago, with some like whole man with a boner in the women's restroom. And they're just...
Well, were they a man or were they a trans woman? Also, if you're not on HRT and you have a dick, like chances are you just get random erections sometimes. It doesn't mean that you're being predatory. And were they the ones recording it, or was some freak in the woman's restroom recording somebody's crotch? In which case, yeah, they're the one that's fucking weird. the other person to be minding their own business.
Just some poor woman filming it. Like, am I just supposed to like accept that this is here?
So some poor innocent woman filming somebody's crotch. Fucking incredible. So here you have an example of a trans woman who doesn't pass. Maybe they're not on HRT yet. Maybe they're a little bit hung, okay? They got an 8-inch dick, okay? And she's just minding her own business, going to the restroom. She unfortunately gets a random erection, maybe. That doesn't make her predatory. It just means she's a trans woman that doesn't pass, trying to go to the fucking bathroom like everybody else. Like, that'd be like saying a gay man is predatory for going to the men's restroom if he gets a random erection. That's fucking insane.
But I think there's levels to it. I think that trans women who are actually trans, we're talking gender dysphoria, transitions, making the effort, probably once you reach a certain point in your transition where you...
And where is that threshold? Where is that threshold? What point do you have to reach?
Can actually assimilate within that space and not cause a disruptance.
Yeah, this is the problem that I have with Blaire. She's an assimilationist. That is her number one flaw. Well, I don't know. She has a lot of flaws, okay? But that being said, her assimilationist mentality of you have to fit into society is just so fucking brain dead. First of all, the whole point of because I'm personally more of a liberationist myself, so I'd like to see society change for the better, right? Now you can say that, oh, this is the best idea for what you should do as a trans woman, right? So like, for instance, maybe you don't pass and it's not safe for you to go out in public, especially not in the women's restroom. Then you could make the argument of, hey, for the sake of your own safety, don't do that, right? But that's not a prescriptive claim about the way society ought to operate, right? Well, you can't really expect people to see you as a woman if you don't transition at all. You mean like you haven't done... I mean, if you haven't started medically transitioning, you might still be socially transitioning to find out if medically transitioning is right for you. I mean, on one hand, you have conservatives saying shit like, oh, we can't have, these life-altering decisions, and it's being pushed on minors. When at the end of the day, they're the same people, or Blaire White, I guess, would be somebody that's the same person that would say shit like that, is also saying, oh, but if you're not putting any effort into transitioning and you're not medically transitioning, how can you call yourself trans? How the fuck are they supposed to find out if they're trans if they're not even allowed to experiment and be treated as a woman? If let's say they're a biological male, right? But they identify as a woman, how the fuck do you expect them to find out if they're actually a woman or not? If they're gonna, basically be ostracized from society. That's why I make prescriptive claims about the way society ought to operate, while still acknowledging that, yes, this is the way society currently operates, but that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it right. I don't go around expecting people to automatically, I don't automatically expect people to see me as a woman, right? I'm aware of how society currently operates. But again, that's a descriptive claim, not a prescriptive one, right? That's the difference.
That would probably be the ideal time to start doing that, right? Whereas,
Also, plenty of trans women who do pass, or that are ones that are either ambiguous or they do pass. Guess what? They're still gender dysphoric as shit. They don't think that they pass. I don't fucking know if I pass. I don't think I pass, but yeah. And also, what about intersex people? Once you start accounting for, intersex people, okay, what about somebody that's fairly androgynous, right? Where do they fit in? Because, I personally feel like at this point in my transition, I've been on HRT for only 6 months, but I feel like I don't belong in either restroom. I don't belong anywhere. I am terrified of public restrooms now. I fucking hate going to the bathroom when I'm out in public. It fucking sucks. You know why? Well, it's not because I'm a bad person. It's not because that's what I deserve for being trans. It's because society is not willing to just acknowledge the fact that, hey, Trans women just want to be recognized as women the same way that cis women do. Unisex bathrooms are horrific. I'm not saying that, like, women's restrooms and men's restrooms should stop existing necessarily, right? Just call people what they want to be called. It only helps the world. Yeah, literally.
A cross-dresser who is emboldened to, in this current climate, say that they're trans because now anything is trans if you say so.
Well, no, that's called the starting point of a transition, or maybe they're non-binary trans. Or maybe they just don't want to medically transition. Because that's the thing, is some people can't afford medical transition. That's what people like Blaire fail to understand. And they're and she might say, like, oh, well, that's different. Like, that's like, okay, I understand if, like, you can't afford it, like, but, like, that's not most people, or some shit like that. But when you go around making fun of people because they aren't trying hard enough, and then they look a certain way, you're also making fun inadvertently of people that are dysphoric about the way they look. And now you're making them feel like shit when they don't have a choice. So whether you like it or not, you are fucking over, even binary dysphoric trans people that don't have they aren't financially stable enough to even begin the process of medically transitioning, or they're not in an environment where it's safe for them to transition. Why is it always trans girls with these people? Trans men get less hate, TBH? Yeah, well, trans men are, like, just infantilized. It's like, oh, these poor innocent girls don't realize that they're being groomed and manipulated by the woke mob into becoming trans. It's like, oh, they're so innocent and helpless. It's like, shut the fuck up, okay? They are autonomous human beings, okay? These are men we're talking about. And you're fucking infantilizing them, treating men like they are damsels in distress for being trans. It's fucking disgusting. It's fucking nasty as shit, the way trans men get treated. And people don't talk about it.
That person should probably stay.
Also, if there's a trans man who's, like, got a fucking beard, what bathroom should he use? Like, sorry. He does not belong in the women's restroom. I mean, if he wants to use the women's restroom, more power to him, I guess, but...
Absolutely out of women's restrooms, because you're there to get your rocks off, and the women are there to take a poop and a pee.
How many trans women that don't pass are there to get their rocks off? Proportionally. Is there any statistics that say, yes, well, you see, the vast majority of non-passing trans women that haven't started HRT yet are actually these evil predators that are only doing it because they want to masturbate in front of women in the women's restroom. Surely there'd be some sort of study you would cite, but of course it doesn't fucking exist.
So it's not the same. And
it's so funny how inconsistent you are. How am I inconsistent? Or are you talking to other people in chat? Unisex bathrooms are a horrible idea. I mean, I do think that there is... I mean, ultimately, in, like, a utopian society, we wouldn't have to worry about, like, oh, gendered bathrooms, teehee. But in our current society, like, there are genuine reasons for women to be scared of men. So I can understand wanting to be in a restroom exclusively with other women. But here's the thing, trans women are also women, right? And believe me, as a trans woman, I too am fucking terrified of men sometimes, okay? Look, this isn't to villainize men or anything. It's just that there's a small proportion of men that's significant enough to be really fucking scary. And if I go into a men's restroom looking the way I do, you could understand why that would make me uncomfortable, right? Why someone that looks like me wouldn't be comfortable going in a men's restroom. I'm fucking terrified of getting assaulted. Unisex bathroom, I guess wouldn't out me as like trans or queer nearly as much, but I mean, come on. Look at the clothes I wear.
And I really empathize with women who, have an issue with it. And I can probably hear some women commenting, well, how do I know the difference between a fetishist and a real trans person? It's hard.
Okay, so you acknowledge that it's difficult to tell the difference because, I mean, what are you using to determine that, right? Is it just vibes based? Because most of them aren't fetishists. Like, you're just pushing this conservative narrative that being trans is like this fetishistic thing. It's not. It's really not for the vast majority of trans people. Like,
It's hard. However, that's the only nuance that I know to give to it, which is there's different reasons people are trans, and some people really are trans because they're horny, and some people are trans because they really felt that way from, a young age or whatever.
See, I agree.
what does it mean to feel like you're trans? There's not like a universal experience. There is no one set of experiences that defines being trans. Like, that's what she's failing to understand here. She just wants like this simple way of categorizing or categorically distinguishing between the real trans and the fake trans, which is entirely based on vibes. There's not really a right or a wrong reason to be trans, right? Like, I don't
Agree to an extent. Like,
the real answer is just not police other people and let them do what they want until they start being a danger to others. Yeah, exactly. The number one question you should be asking is, does this cause harm? And if the answer is no, then shut the fuck up and move on with your life.
when you go to transition, and this is fairly.
How is this even an argument? This whole predator thing happens once every blue moon. Yeah, it's like cis men are way more likely to be predatory. But you don't see me going around being like, oh my god, look, here's an example of a cis man being predatory. Look at how bad men are. Oh my god, look at these statistics of men being super violent. This is why men are evil and why we actually need a matriarchy, right? It would be fucking insane if I were to do that. Oh, here's an example of a man being predatory. This is why men are fucking evil. This is why men should be oppressed. You're using a blanket statement. If it doesn't hurt anybody, it's fine. Yes. Yes, I am. If it doesn't hurt anybody, then yes, it's fine.
Universal experience, once you get to a.
So jacking off to lolly is okay, doesn't hurt anyone. Oh my god. So I'm not gonna get into the lolly discourse, but the main argument there is if it increases the chances of them actually hurting a child in the future, then that would be a utilitarian argument for why it's wrong to allow lolly to exist in the first place, right? It's not necessarily the case that it's wrong in a vacuum, I guess. But it would be wrong in the context of it increases the chances or the statistical likelihood of an actual child being hurt, right? So if the goal is to minimize harm, then that would be the argument there, right? So just because it doesn't, so yeah, but again, if there is some sort of man who's a predator that wants to prey on women in the women's restroom, you know that there's not security guards outside of the restroom, right? Like, you can just walk in there and rape somebody. It's just that people don't usually do that. I think nuance is needed when doing the do whatever argument. Well, sure, when you talk about specific situations, yeah, but it ultimately boils down to, does this cause harm? So, that's the main question you should be asking. Right? It shouldn't just be based on, does this feel weird and gross, right?
A certain point of passing, that's about the time that you would start going into the other bathroom, as opposed to not make the same sex uncomfortable. once you reach that point in your transition, a lot of things change, but you start to see things from another perspective. You start to see things from the perspective of a cis person.
Yeah.
And I actually offer some solutions to this because I believe the free market can handle all of this stuff, because in government-run and government-funded buildings, there should always be a third space for us to use. And I do. When I go to the Capitol and stuff like that, I always use third spaces.
Okay, I actually do agree with the idea that, yeah, there should be like a third space everywhere, right? Because like for somebody like me, I don't feel safe going into either restroom. I feel weird as shit about it because I know I don't pass, right? I'm not comfortable either way. And I fucking despise when they don't have like a third restroom. Not to mention the fact that there are plenty of non-binary people who would also benefit from that, right? Like I just don't understand why there can't be 3 restrooms. It's like, who does that harm? Literally nobody. You could potentially make arguments for why in this current society it might cause harm for there to be just unisex bathrooms. And I wouldn't even disagree with that, despite being a gender abolitionist, right? But what's the argument against there being 3 restrooms? There genuinely isn't a good argument against it.
But I think that private property owners can make the rules for their establishment and figure out how to enforce those rules.
I
mean, to what extent?
I wouldn't say
they're not
third
being allowed,
spaces for
though.
trans
Exactly.
people.
Like we're in a
just
state
in
right
general.
now. We're in a state right now.
Unisex bathrooms are cringe. Okay, Rise, what bathroom should I use? What bathroom should I use that doesn't make me uncomfortable as shit? Because there are a lot of places that don't have unisex bathrooms, okay? I'm not saying it should be exclusively unisex bathrooms, by the way. I'm saying that that should be like an option. Because I'm not comfortable in I'm neither comfortable in the men's nor the women's restroom. So where the fuck should I go if they don't have a unisex bathroom?
Where you have to allow anybody to use whatever restroom they want.
If you're a decent human being, you do what causes the least disturbance. So for example, I filmed a YouTube video a few years ago where I entered a men's restroom just because I was responding to comments who were like, well, maybe you should use a men's restroom if you really feel like the way you feel. And so I said, okay, let's do it. Let's put a camera. And I was kicked out within.
No, I think that the point she was making originally, because I remember seeing that video a long time ago. I mean, I saw it a long time ago, so there's a small chance I'm wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that the point being made is, okay, if I'm a man who should be in the fucking men's restroom and trans people don't belong in... If trans women don't belong in the women's restroom, then why am I getting kicked out of the men's restroom?
Seconds of the entire establishment, and it was a whole ruckus. So that's what I mean by, if you're a decent person, you do what causes the least amount of problems for people around you. And if you're, a moral person, you're going to be conflict avoidant in general when it's something like that, right? It's like, what's the point of causing issues for anyone, especially if you're...
I mean, I agree that, like, okay, yeah, as a trans person, like, if you're out in public, you don't want to start conflict. Like, because the world is a fucking scary place. It's a little bit unforgiving in a lot of instances, and yeah, sure, you don't want to be going around starting conflict. I don't disagree with that, but that has less to do with, oh no, what if I make somebody uncomfortable, and more to do with the safety of the trans person. So, I agree with the idea that, yeah, you don't want to be causing conflict, but I have a different reason behind it.
You're really just trying to pee,
Just put
get
your
it
head
done.
down, go in, get out.
Right.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
I want to comment on Blaire's point. The one thing I kept hearing through all of the nuance is passability. Because ultimately, when we talk about passability, it determines how you get harassed in the bathroom. Because
Yeah, literally. Like, the fact that I haven't been harassed is fucking astonishing, frankly. I mean, because I still, when I'm in public, like, if I have to choose between the men's or women's restroom, I mean, usually I'll just hold it and wait till I get home. But if I really have to go, I guess I'll just use the men's restroom, because I know I don't pass. That's gonna change soon, probably. But Yeah, anyways.
Because honestly, if you don't look so passable or whatnot, people are going to say, oh, that's a man with a dress on, and then there's going to be discourse. But the reality...
Yeah, and then that just creates dysphoria for the trans person if they have dysphoria, which Blaire White should, you know, as a trans person, not be in favor of, right? Like, that's the thing, is non-passing trans people are the most vulnerable. Baby trans people are the most vulnerable.
The reality of it is, honestly, who cares who's trans and who's cis going in the bathroom? You should be minding your own business.
Yeah, literally. Literally. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, if they're minding their own business and you're minding your own business, why does it matter?
Being able to pee and do your business in peace, for the most part. That conversation around this man with a boner on or whatever like that, I saw that picture and I thought to myself, that's really a right-wing talking point and conservative propaganda, because that's their ideology.
How is it
when it comes to
that
trans?
happened?
I'm speaking. That's their ideology when it comes to trans. It's because conservatives have a basic level understanding of what transness is in the first place. And with all due respect, I do not think any of you are basic, but they use you as the baseline to amplifying this propaganda.
How is it propaganda if it's a thing that really happened? It was caught on video. Like, it was an actual occurrence. It wasn't.
What happened on video? Somebody was recording a random trans woman that was using the restroom for committing the heinous sin of being hung as shit. Okay, if the trans woman was acting predatory or doing something that was causing harm, then sure. But like a pre-HRT trans woman getting a random boner involuntarily is not predatory? Like, how dare she mind her own fucking business and in the women's restroom to go pee and then wash her hands and then leave? What's the big deal? Trans women should get mandatory penis reduction surgeries. Yeah, not even like bottom surgery to get a neo-vagina, just penis reduction surgery so that they can be more effeminate.
It's staged. It happened, and that's not the only. It's not an isolated incident.
But that's not enough for me to say, because actors can do that. Who knows? They could have been an actor trying to make a point against trans people. But this has always been our battle. It's just like, from what I just heard you were saying with your talking points, because I did understand what you were saying.
That's also true. Like, if and when it comes to bad actors, like let's say Steven Crowder makes a video and he's like, oh, wouldn't it be really funny if I dress like a woman, because that's something he does. He loves dressing like a woman. I don't fucking know why. It's kind of weird, you know, considering how much he hates trans and gay people. Yeah, if let's say Steven Crowder dresses like a woman and is like, I'm actually a woman now, and you have to respect my pronouns, and people just go along with it, and they're like, yeah, okay, I don't care, like, and he doesn't get a reaction out of it. It's like, he looks like an idiot, right? Like, he just looks dumb. It's like everybody's just being respectful, and he just looks like an asshole for, like, trying to be annoying about it. Anyways, let's continue.
Saying, I just got the word passability out of there, and
Which I didn't say that word at all.
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying
he
that
said
word.
passability.
I'm saying
she didn't say it. He
I'm-
did. And the
I'll
problem,
say it.
the left.
Okay, I can't.
The
I
problem
couldn't hear.
with
I just couldn't hear it back there.
the
You know what I was
liberals,
saying
the
was,
liberals always use the.
yeah. No, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you said that word. What I was getting out of what you were saying, the one word that was coming to me was passability. This is Blossom saying it.
Yeah, she's literally just using a word that describes what they were talking about, and now they're getting mad at her for using an accurate word to describe their position. Like, okay. Like, if it's not a matter of passability, then what is it? But yeah, this what's her name? I don't know what her name is. Does she have social media? Because a lot of the time these people have social media, and this this chick right here on screen is so fucking based. The chick with the Like the dyed hair, it's like, it looks like it was like blonde maybe at one point, and now it's like starting to fade away or something like that. She's fucking slaying.
And so passability politics is really a thing in our trans community, especially when we come to the debate of restrooms.
Yeah, true. Like, that is literally what Blaire White was saying. Like, oh yeah, once you like, start to like assimilate and blah, blah, blah. And she was talking about assimilation and, being able to like, pass and not, be a disturbance. Yeah, that's literally what that is. She just accurately described that.
You can say it's politics, but actually it's just real life, right? It's just about...
Correct.
It's both, right? These aren't mutually exclusive. Like, being trans, sadly, is political. It shouldn't be political. Me existing should not be a political statement, but it is, because people are fucking stupid and conservatives can't shut the fuck up about trans people because we're all they think about. I've seen this debate before and she tries playing the race card. Well, she hasn't done that yet. So I don't care until it happens. And if it happens in a way that's like cringe, then okay, I'll agree, but I haven't seen it.
Where you're able to assimilate to and where you're not. And I think one of the biggest problems in the trans community is the community by and large has seemed to reject assimilation and seems hell-bent on...
That's not true.
I think it's absolutely true, which is you see people talking about...
What do you mean by reject assimilation? Do you mean like going out of your way to avoid assimilating, or maybe just being of the belief that it's okay to assimilate, but it's not a prerequisite for being trans? You don't have to assimilate to be valid, right? Because if you have to be assimilate, like if you have to have assimilated, I can't fucking speak. If you have to have assimilated to be valid, then nobody who's early in their transition is valid, according to Blaire White. Because at that point, you haven't assimilated, right? But you're still valid, and that's when you're the most vulnerable. That's when you need to be affirmed in your gender the most, is when you don't pass. That's when it's the most important. Once you pass, it's like, okay, it's still important that people aren't transphobic to you, but it's not nearly as important. Because at that point, it's like you go around, you're confident knowing, oh yeah, everybody sees me the way I want to be perceived, etc.
You don't need to work on your transition at all to enter women's restrooms, and I think that is so selfish.
That drives me crazy.
It's so disregard.
How is it selfish? Who is it hurting? Cis women? Are cis women hurt by non-passing trans women? Oh my god, I can't even fucking speak. Are cis women seriously affected negatively by non-passing trans women simply going to the women's restroom, going into the stall, peeing and minding their own business, washing their hands, and exiting? What about that is so fucking problematic?
Of women who may or may not feel uncomfortable.
But the trans woman experience is not monolithic.
Yeah, I gotta piss. My bad for being selfish. Yeah, literally. Like, Blaire doesn't realize, or she realizes and just doesn't care, that her kind of rhetoric negatively affects people like me. I don't think I pass. I don't. I genuinely don't. I think that, okay, most people in like my community will see me as a woman because trans women are women, right? And we all sort of agree on that, right? But we have a different definition of woman from a lot of people, right? A lot of people think that gender and sex are the same thing. You are cute though. Ooh, why thank you. Well, that's the thing, is like, I think that non-passing trans women a lot of the time are hot as fuck. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Most men I don't find hot as fuck. Trans women that are in their baby trans phase are A, extremely relatable, and B, I don't know, something about them, they just have a vibe to them. You know what I mean? But, yeah. Anyways. TF is she doing in the bathroom to be worried about her gender? Like, just get in and get out. Gender shouldn't matter. Yeah, literally. Like, what do you do in the bathroom that's so sacred and gender specific? Peeing while sitting down? Okay, you could make the argument that, okay, if you're a trans girl who's going to the women's restroom, maybe don't pee while standing up because then you might get pee on the toilet seat, or, you know, and that might make people uncomfortable or some shit like that. Maybe. I don't know. Even that's a bit of a stretch. I'm really trying to be charitable here, but I literally can't come up with a good argument against it. Like, I heard the piss drops. It scared me. Yeah, it's like I'm trying to come up with, like, what's an example of, like, somebody doing something that would, like, genuinely cause so much discomfort that it's a problem. Like, I'm sorry, but people who use urinals scare me. Okay, true. I fucking despise urinals. I refuse to use them. Even before I started transitioning, I fucking despised them. 4 months on HRT wearing a black hoodie, short shorts, and thigh highs vibe. Yeah. It's like, it's a vibe. Like, you just... Here's the thing, is like, people like Blaire White will discourage this. They just want you to assimilate, blah, blah, blah. But just enjoy your cringe baby trans phase. It's fun. That's, you know... I was watching, Icky, do a video about this. She's Finster's girlfriend, by the way. And she did a video talking about the baby trans phase, and she's like, it's cringe. And I look back and I cringe, but also it's like kind of adorable at the same time. Because you're just starting to figure shit out, and it's like, it's a fun time, you know? And you know what? She's so fucking right about that. Because at the end of the day, you can't avoid your baby trans phase, so you may as well enjoy it. I am embracing the fact that I'm in my baby trans phase. I don't care if it's cringe. I literally could not care less.
So who are we to police transness? Why are we policing other people's transness and how they show up?
We have to protect women.
Why are y'all policing, though? That's what I don't understand.
You're using words that we're not using. It's not policing. We're listening to...
Well, you're not using the words policing, but what you are doing is you are policing. You're not saying you're policing because you won't admit to that. But your actions actually speak louder than words. Oh my God. It's crazy.
Women, and if you have 50...
Yeah, Rise, what the fuck are you, like, the pulling the I'm black card, what are you, that's not a point she's made yet. I don't care. Nothing she's said so far is incorrect. I'm not just, even if she was using that maliciously, I don't know, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to make that judgment. Why is that relevant? That doesn't make her any less correct when she says things that are correct. Like, you realize that somebody can do something shitty, or... you know, make one bad point while still making valid arguments the rest of the time, right? Like, this just seems like a skip baby trans, go straight to either goth mommy phase or pastel cottagecore phase. I don't know. What I want to combine. There's like, I'm not sure which phase I go through next. Do I do goth? Do I do a goth phase or a pastel cottage phase? And I don't know which one. I don't know. I literally don't care about the debate. Okay, well then fucking cry about it? Like, that's what this is? That, like, they're making arguments right now? That's literally, like, I'm sorry I haven't pre-watched this. I'm 6 feet, so I'm probably going to go gothwall. I mean, that's valid, but I wouldn't be basing that off of your height, though. But yeah, 6 foot tall, trans goth mommies are hot as shit. So feel free to do that, because the more the merrier.
percent, we won't say 50%, but if you have a large chunk of the population of women saying that they are uncomfortable with a certain thing, a
Source?
good person leans in and listens.
So why
they
are
don't
you
just
not
Source? What is the source for this?
reject
to
it.
other trans women, Blaire?
I
think
do
that's-
all day and
okay,
right
so,
now.
But you didn't, and I'm not trying to be combative or whatever like that. I'm just trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what the middle ground would be between you and I, because you said one side.
You
and
see,
that's
you see what she did there? Because the thing is called middle ground. Oh, hell yeah, let's go.
great, but what about the side of trans women? If we're not bringing both sides into this conversation,
Here's what I would say
then it
then.
is unbalanced.
Here's what I would say then, because I do understand.
Currently in the baby trans tomboy phase. Nice. Yeah, I feel like I'm heading there. Like, I'm about to be a little bit more tomboyish. Because, like, something I've been doing for the past however many months is acting, I don't know if I'd say hyper feminine, but like going out of my way to fit some sort of feminine archetype. But there's things I used to do more often as like a boy, quote unquote, that I kind of want to go back to a little bit, right? Like, so I'm probably gonna have a tomboy arc next, where I do things that are stereotypically a little bit more masculine. Then I'm gonna swing back a little bit, and then I don't know. I'm either gonna become goth, or like extremely like, or have like a pastel sort of aesthetic. I don't know which one yet. But yeah. Oh no, I did not mean to. I accidentally pressed the wrong button. How far were we? We were like here, right?
And to make sure you're being inclusive of both sides or whatever, because
Matters of always trans.
saying that you're safe.
Well, then
Sorry.
that's on me. That's my
Correct.
business. I understand both sides. I didn't all day and
Okay,
right
so,
now.
but you didn't, and I'm not trying to be combative or whatever like that. I'm just trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what the middle ground would be between you and I, because you said one side and that's great, but what about the side of
Demanding hyperfemininity from trans women 24/7 is a double standard because cis women, because cis women don't have the same expectation to put on them. Yeah, true. Well, the thing about hyperfemininity and whatnot is it's almost like a standard that trans women put on themselves to compensate for the fact that like they have gender dysphoria, right? And that's why they start out as like super slutty, hyper feminine, and then they sort of mellow the fuck out. That's why you'll notice a lot of people going through their baby trans phase are just slutty as shit. Myself included. After you go through the phases, you start blending them, like a pastel grunge tomboy phase. Interesting.
trans women? If we're not bringing both sides into this conversation,
Here's what I would say
then it
then.
is unbalanced.
Here's what I would say then, because I do understand both sides. I didn't, I'm almost a decade into my transition, which means I was one time a year in, 6 months in, 2 months in. So
But that's the point. That's a point against you, Blaire. The fact of the matter is, yeah, at one point you were. So you should be able to empathize with other people that are. You should be able to empathize with somebody like me who has been harmed by this kind of rhetoric, this assimilationist rhetoric. Because at the end of the day, I've been on HRT for 6 months. I don't know how to do makeup yet. I don't think I pass. I just started voice training. The fact of the matter is, if my worth as a trans person is contingent upon whether or not I've assimilated, that's a terrible mindset to have. Like, can I just, at least for some period of time, feel like I'm pretty without passing? Like, can I be pretty and not pass, or be androgynous and like feel pretty? I don't understand why there's like almost like this expectation of me to be almost self-hating. Because the idea of dysphoria being like a self-hatred is fucking terrible. The reason I started transitioning was because I got over my self-hatred. It was because I stopped hating myself. And I'm like, I want to do what's right for me. And I think that until Blaire can understand that, she's just going to keep spewing harmful rhetoric.
So I understand that, but I also knew at the very beginning of my transition that if I'm not at a place physically where I'm not making people feel uncomfortable, or I'm making people uncomfortable, then
Right.
that's on me. That's
Correct.
my responsibility to make sure that I'm going places a certain way to make
Well, that's your responsibility in terms of keeping yourself safe. But again, that's not the way society ought to be. Like, sure, that's the way it is. And that is something that, yeah, you had to do that to conform to society. That doesn't mean that what you're conforming to is good in the first place. I don't think she cares. No, I don't think so either. She lied about her political compass test. But the fact of the matter is, I have a lot of... The thing that fucking pisses me off about Blaire White is her self-hating tendencies feel so familiar to me. Because I'll admit, I'm a little bit self-hating. Sometimes. I'll admit, sometimes I fucking look at myself. I'm like, oh God, I don't even fucking pass. What am I doing? I still use the fucking men's restroom. When it's obvious at this point that I just identify as like a trans girl or at least trans femme.
sure that they're comfortable.
Because it's for your safety also, too, right? Would you also say that you're safe? Your
I know
safety
that
plays a part.
you seem to be.
Yeah, literally. I feel unsafe going to men's restrooms. I genuinely. And I don't know where this fear of going into the women's restroom comes from for me. But I'm guessing it comes from people like Blaire, who I used to watch in my early teen years when I wasn't even close to having my egg be even slightly cracked. And now I'm at a point where it's like, oh, I'm scared of being somebody that is perceived as predatory for simply using the women's restroom. I just don't want to, like, here's the thing. I don't want to use the men's restroom anymore. It's fucking scary. I am terrified of getting assaulted. And I live in a fucking, I live in a blue state. I live in an area that isn't really that transphobic. And I'm still fucking terrified. I'm still fucking terrified. And there are so many areas in this country where there's even more of a reason for a trans woman to be terrified of going to the men's restroom. So should she have to boy mode to avoid getting assaulted? Or should it be the case that maybe she gets included in the women's restroom, even if she doesn't pass yet? I feel that, Femyoz. My state is super blue, but it's still spooky here, yeah. Pushing that sexuality as a choice and coercing lesbians into having sex with trans women. When is that happening? You realize that most people on the left acknowledge genital preference is a thing and that nobody should be forced to have sex with anybody. And also, being into trans women as a woman doesn't make you less of a lesbian. And even if it did, who fucking cares? Like, if you're just attracted to women, then, and that includes trans women for you, then, yeah, sexuality isn't genital preference. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The sexuality is not a choice, obviously. You don't choose what you're attracted to. But at the end of the day, like, for instance, if a trans girl is post-op and she passes as a cis woman, and then some turf bitch who's also a lesbian refuses to date them after their date went perfectly and they had a good time, and then later it turns out, oh yeah, I also I don't know, maybe the trans woman who's post-op is like, okay, I need to go take my estrogen or some shit like that, right? And it's the same person, exactly the same, and it's like, oh, but now you view them as not a real woman. If that's the case, then yeah, you're the problem there. That would be the argument, right? A lot of trans people genuinely think genital preference is in of itself transphobic, which is retarded. Yeah, like there are people that believe that, and they're wrong. They're obviously wrong if they believe that, yeah, genital preference makes you like, no, it fucking doesn't, right? Again, genital preference is going to be one of the things that determines, okay, what you know, are you comfortable having sex with somebody, right? If you're uncomfortable having sex with somebody, then no, you shouldn't have to have sex with them. To be honest, I don't even care if someone doesn't want to date a trans person, but they shouldn't be obligated. Oh, but they should be obligated to make that clear first. Yeah, well, and I tell trans people, especially ones that are like, oh, I can't believe that people won't date me because I'm trans. Like those types, because a lot of them are like people that are like earlier in their transition as well, so they're insecure about not passing. So what I usually tell them is like, look, I don't even care about whether or not it makes other people uncomfortable. Honey, you need to like fucking focus about, you have to worry about and focus on your own fucking safety, okay? Because if you're putting yourself in like a dangerous situation, also my cat's trying to leave. If you're trying, so I'm gonna stand up, but yeah. But like if you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation where it's like, oh, you know, you're on a date with somebody and then, and you're on a date with like a straight cis dude. Maybe you're at the bar or something like that, and then you pull down your pants, and then that's when it gets revealed that you're trans. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, if the guy commits violence, you're asking for it. But in some sense, and this isn't to justify the guy's reaction, obviously it's wrong. But in some sense, you are asking to be fucking hate crimed at that point. It's like, no. Don't fucking put yourself in that kind of danger. Not for the sake of the cis. I don't give a fuck about the cis guy in that situation, right? I just don't want to see a fellow trans girl show up on the news because she was brutally beaten to death by some transphobic guy because she didn't disclose the fact that she was trans earlier. And yes, you can make the argument that, oh, well, you know, society needs to change its views on sexuality and whatnot, because a lot of that, you know, is, you know, oh, men will get really offended if they feel like their sexuality has been threatened and it blah, blah, blah. But that's not mutually exclusive. So, yeah.
Looking at through the lens of always trans being the priority. I'm looking at through the lens of women being the priority here.
Why should... Wait, hold on. We gotta replay that. What the fuck?
So too, right, would you also say that you're safe?
Well,
your safety
I know that
plays a part.
you seem to be looking at through the lens of always trans being the priority. I'm looking at through the lens of women being the priority here.
Well, trans women are women. So if women are the priority, that would be inclusive to trans women. Unless you don't think you're a woman, Blaire. Like, are you so self-hating that you just don't even think of yourself as a woman? Like, yeah, sure, if we're talking about bathroom discourse, we're probably going to be prioritizing women. Right? And if that's the case, because that's usually the case, right? That's what comes up. Whether that's the way it should be or not, kind of irrelevant, right? That's just the way the discourse is currently, right? That's going to include trans women, because they're also women. So, what's your point, Blaire? bros arguing to help the minority by prioritizing the majority. Yeah, literally.
There's plenty of situations.
Why? I just want to know
because
why
it's them who
around
would
that.
fall victim to not actual trans women, as I said, but people.
What makes somebody an actual trans woman versus not an actual trans woman? And what makes them a perpetrator? What causes there to be a victim? What would cis women be a victim of if a non-passing trans woman who hasn't put enough effort into her transition goes into the women's restroom, takes a piss, and then leaves? I guess the problem there would be she didn't wash her hands, because I forgot to include that. Always wash your hands. Don't be a fucking disgusting piece of shit. Okay? That would be the only crime there, though. If that wasn't originally my intention. But yeah, Blaire once said she saw trans women as a subset of men, not women. Yeah, which is fucking stupid. It doesn't even make any fucking sense. Like, even if you're gonna take the approach of, well, you see, sex and gender are the same, and it's a matter of biology. Like, transsexual women are not the same as cissexual men. Like biological males are not the same as transsexual women. Because at the end of the day, what you have is, or transsexual females, like male to female, right? Because you have because sex is not just one characteristic. It's not determined by one characteristic. It is an accumulation of many characteristics, right? So while it is true that you're not going to be exactly the same as a biological female if you're a trans woman, right? You're not going to be exactly the same. You're going to be a lot closer than if you didn't medically transition, right? So, for instance, the fact that there is estrogen in your body that changes your secondary sex characteristics. You start growing boobies, okay? Your face starts to have fat redistribute in a way that makes you look a little more feminine. Your thighs get thicker, your ass gets thicker. Just all the good changes that you would ever want, okay? And this is caused by hormones. And then you've also got, and also if they get bottom surgery, it's like, okay, well, what does their genitalia resemble more closely? The biologically male genitalia or the biologically female genitalia? Okay, well, that sex characteristic would be closer to biologically female, right? At the end of the day, there's no... any line you draw between the two sexes, I guess the two main sexes, because there's also going to be intersex people that exist, is going to be arbitrary, right? Because no matter what, because it's also going to depend on how thick that line is. Like what would you categorize like a hermaphrodite as, right? Like, are they do they have to be non-binary, but they're social? Like, would Blaire's position there be, well, you see, they're actually one of the few people that's born as non-binary, but we socially recognize them as what they want to identify with. Well, that's fucking stupid. Or is it, well, usually, and this does happen, sadly, the doctor will remove one of their parts and hope it's the correct decision, and then that's what determines their sex, in which case, okay, if bottom surgery supersedes what you're biologically born as, then that would apply to bottom surgery for binary trans people. So, no matter what, it's all a bunch of incoherent shit.
Posing as trans women,
I have
people
a
who
concern.
are
But trans women are also victims of that as well.
I'm sorry. I would love it if the two of you have said your piece, and I would love to hear.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah,
else
I
gets
just
to
want to
talk.
make this
Nobody
point.
else is
I just
talking.
want to make this point as well. But
Honestly, relatable.
trans women also experience violence and also need that
doubt.
protection. And so that's the thing.
doubt.
Like, it should be an even playing field. I'm not saying you're
Yeah, no doubt. So she agrees that yeah, we experience a disproportionate amount of violence. I would say, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, we actually experience more violence than cis women on average, because we get fucking hate crimed like crazy. So there's that element of it. The other thing is, yeah, it's fucking, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to even bring myself to use a men's restroom at this point in public.
wrong, but what I'm saying is I would like to challenge you to expand to make sure you're being inclusive of both sides or whatever, because we have to have these important conversations between cis women and trans women. I'm just gonna say, and I'm not gonna just say cis women, I'm gonna say women, biological women. I want to make it inclusive of everyone.
I think the middle ground, though, is, and I feel like I'm not coming at this from an extreme place. I feel like an extreme place would be like no trans women in the bathroom ever. That's the extreme position. I'm saying work on your transition, take it as your responsibility, and be respectful. And that's the middle ground, right?
This is a self-preservation issue, right? So if somebody's in the bathroom and they have a boner, that looks bad on all of us. And when people...
So I agree that it looks bad, but that doesn't make them a bad person, or it doesn't automatically make it wrong. Like, I feel like rather than ceding ground to the right, what we should be doing is just acknowledging the fact that, yeah, this is bad optics, and, you know, if you're trans, maybe avoid this, or, you know, just for the sake of optics. But at the same time, let's not pretend like the person that was recording somebody's crotch without her consent in a public restroom isn't the fucking problem there. Like, I'm sorry, what?
Well, and when our community's not calling that out and not saying that this is wrong.
How many?
What's wrong? You can say that something is bad optics, or hey, if you're a trans girl, maybe be a little bit more careful, or maybe wear clothes that, you know, hide your bulge a little bit better if you don't want to get fucking hate crimed, or you don't want this to happen to you potentially, right? Because like it's going to depend on where you live. A boner's normal. Yeah, literally. Like if you're a trans girl and you haven't started HRT yet, like you're just going to get, like, you're still going to get random boners. Like, it's not because you're being predatory. It's literally just, oh, that's what testosterone is like. That sucks, I guess. And ultimately, yeah, like, I just don't understand why we can't acknowledge, oh yeah, okay, this is bad optics in that, okay, you don't want people to target you. Here's how to avoid being targeted, right? Here's how to avoid being targeted.
I'm just, to your point, how many cases has that occurred?
It happens a lot. We see it's happening all the time.
No, I have to
there are
see
Twitter
data.
accounts.
I'm sorry, because I just want to make sure the back and
Yeah.
forth goes everywhere.
I mean, there's Twitter accounts with millions of followers that show this stuff multiple times a day.
I know what we're talking about.
And so we're...
Oh yeah, we should use random Twitter accounts as our source of information to form our worldviews. That what could possibly go wrong? Probably nothing, I'll bet. What are people responding to? Wait, what happened? Are you fucking serious? Oh shit. Oh my god, what the fuck? YouTube. It says, so for those of you watching on Kick, it says your stream has been temporarily blocked because we detected a video belonging to someone else. YouTube, this is fair use. I'm talking for like 5 times the duration of the video I'm watching. Are you fucking serious? She was stopping the video a lot of times. Yeah. What the fuck? I think it was done, it automatically because it says we detected. But I've seen so many people react to Jubilee and pause it way less frequently. Way less frequently. Oh? Your stream is no longer being blocked due to copyright issues. Wait. Wait. It's back. What the fuck? Okay. What we're going to be doing is we're going to pause it every... Okay. People call me a pause Andy. I agree. That was really weird. That was really fucking weird. That was really strange. You were out for like 2 minutes, yeah. Holy shit. I was so confused. I guess what happened was... I love how Hasan can steal content, but genuine reactions aren't allowed. It makes sense. Yeah. I wonder what fucking happened. It got auto-flagged. Yeah, maybe somebody like spam reported or something. And then YouTube like looked at it and was like, oh, I guess this does match the content ID. But then they looked at it a little bit more to make sure that it was not transformative. And then they're like, oh, wait, it is transformative. A lot of channels like Jubilee get auto-copyrighted, I think. Oh, you mean ones that react to Jubilee? Yeah, this is the thing. Like, being a YouTuber is fucking hard. Probably automated, yeah. I mean, if YouTube is, like, threatening me with Content ID, then holy shit, that's fucking wild. Because I'm literally, like, I've literally had people make, like, people make fun of me for pausing and talking for, like, 5 hours and not letting the video play. Because people come here for my commentary. In fact, I almost, like, I considered putting Jubilee in the title or maybe somewhere in the thumbnail, but I decided I wanted to make it more about the actual topic itself and use the discussion on Jubilee as like a starting point for the discourse. It's the same with Kitchen Nightmares. It gets auto-copyrighted. Okay, I can understand Kitchen Nightmares because I feel like that's the kind of thing that someone like Hasan would just like play while like taking a 40-minute long shit. I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of thing people would do watch parties for. But I feel like when it comes to Jubilee political stuff, like people like me will do things that are clearly fair use. Clearly and unambiguously fair use. And yeah, the fact that it gets copyrighted when at the end of the day, it's like, if like, whatever, less than a quarter of the runtime is their content, and the vast majority of it is mine, and their content is from YouTube, what's the fucking problem? At least Kitchen Nightmares is like, actually like, whatever, like a full-on TV show. Like, it's still shitty if they do that, but look at UMG, yeah, like, it's fucking Braindead. Sorry, this shit is fucking pissing me the fuck off. Like, we're less than 10 minutes into this video specifically. Less than 10 minutes. And we've been streaming for over an hour. So, almost an hour and 10 minutes. So, but let's just say an hour. Less than a sixth of the runtime was from Jubilee. But yeah. Smash like to help support a small creator who wants to make it big, I guess. I don't know if that sounds cringe to say. It's like, yeah, I'm a small creator, but I'm going to make it big one day. Okay, well, maybe I don't, but I'd like to. I literally make content about copyright law, and even I don't get how YouTube's copyright enforcement works. Yeah, literally. I don't know. And they can wait 30 days and then say fuck you and claim the video anyway? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if you appeal a second time, you have to give forward personal information. Yeah. Which is like, that's what Onision has done when abusing YouTube's system. And it's like, obviously no fucking YouTuber is going to want to give their fucking personal information to fucking Onision. And if somebody as dumb and batshit crazy as Onision can abuse the system, then obviously large corporations can also abuse the system. So, yeah. Apparently Keffels is streaming. And you know what? I need to go to the bathroom. So, anyways, what do I play? I'm trying to find something that's like, I guess I'll play a Voosh video while I leave. Do a flex real quick. All right, that's me flexing. Hold on, I gotta take these bad boys off so that I can wash my hands after I used the restroom. Play copyrighted music? No thanks. I think I'm good. I'd rather not. Well, actually I can. I mean, your arms are like really hot. Why, thank you. I've made videos containing music that's verifiably in the public domain and still gets copyright claims. Yeah, that happens, sadly. So, alright, the video I'm gonna play while I'm doing a Hasan moment is, from the Voosh pit, aka Voosh, called This Is Turning Out Way Worse Than I Expected, and the thumbnail says Nightmare. So, I don't know what the fuck this is about, and obviously I'm gonna be gone for a couple minutes. Let's just see.
So, Milei recently won the election, presidential in Argentina, and a lot of people were very worried about his election because he's a lunatic anarcho-capitalist who threatened to destroy the government, dollarize the Argentinian economy, and do a bunch of other stuff. I noted, while looking at the stuff that he said and did immediately following his election, that there were signs I saw that he might not be as bad as I initially expected. Now, to be clear, when I say not as bad as I originally expected, my original expectation was that within a few years, Argentina would just be a flaming pit in the ground. So some of the stuff that Milei did made me think that he was more interested in cozying up to larger governments around him than was initially expected. For one, if Milei argues that he wants to dollarize the Argentinian economy, that would mean he has to maintain a pretty good relationship with the United States, because you can only get dollars from the United States. He also seemed to be softening his rhetoric when it came to Brazil, the regional hegemon, and softening his rhetoric when it came to trade with China. What all of this suggested to me is that maybe he has been stabilizing a little bit, you know what I mean? Maybe, you know, he said a lot of crazy shit while he was running, and now that he's in government, somebody went up to him and said, hey, listen, dude, okay, you've said a lot of stuff, but here's what you actually can do, you know? Here are the limitations of what you're actually capable. Like, this is the actual, like, shit you can do. This stuff is a no sell, you know? Maybe he took a bit of normal pills. I'm very, very sorry to say I was wrong. Yeah. Argentina has been suffering some pretty severe economic issues recently, hyperinflation, protests as a consequence of inflation. And Milei, the anarcho-capitalist, big anti-state power guy, has done the one big thing libertarians love to do when they actually get in power.
Thank you, Voosh. Very cool. I appreciate you letting me do a Hasan moment. Hold on. I think my cat might be trying to get in, but I'm not sure. No, you're just gonna sit there? Okay, Reese. I was talking to the cat. Just gonna stand there. Okay. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, anyways, I just, shout out to Voosh if you want to find out what's going on with the Argentinian government. It's on his second channel, the Voosh Pit. You know, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna shout out a smaller streamer, you know, help him out on his journey to becoming successful like me. So, I'm gonna make sure to smash like. But, yeah. Anyways. Very epic. Indeed. Your arms are like really hot. Biceps. I don't know what music is copyrighted and what's not. If I haven't listened to it. Voosh is vile and yet has a fan base like Hasan? No. I mean, there's like some overlap. But your cat has the same name as me? Oh, interesting. Yeah. Where did Kali go? Oh, I disappeared. But yeah, no, I think that Voosh and Hasan, despite both being leftist streamers, are very different. Voosh is good background noise. I play games with him playing. He has the voice for it, yeah. Even if you use public domain music, YouTube still copyright claims it. Yeah, like it's weird, but yeah, that is kind of how it works. So yeah. Like goddamn. Like him and Hasan have a very loyal and dogmatic fan base. I can't look at him. I feel violated whenever I do. Well, that's strange. I don't know why you would feel that way, but to each their own, I guess. I don't know. Alright, we're gonna be pausing this every 5 seconds to make sure we don't get shit from the YouTube content ID system. So, yeah. Anyways, let's continue.
We're showing that these types of things do actually cause harm to trans people. So if you're
what causes harm to trans people? The fact that I don't know, that people are transphobic to trans people, like, you know, conservatives, for instance, or is it trans people? Because what you're talking about is harm that comes from the backlash. The backlash that trans people get from shit that blows up on social media. But who is causing that backlash? Is it the random trans person who was minding her own business and just going to the bathroom like a normal fucking person? Or was it the fucking psychotic freak that pulled out her phone to record a trans girl's crotch to post it on the internet? Who do you think is the problem there? Like, I'm sorry, honey, but you gotta get your priorities straight.
You're looking at it at a trans lens and to say, what are we doing? We need to combat that stuff and come together to combat that stuff.
It does not
combat what stuff? What is the problem? Is the problem the trans person who's minding their own business, even if they don't pass, might I add? Or is it the person that filmed their crotch? Did someone actually film their crotch? I mean, yeah, that's literally what people that are bringing, like, the conservatives basically said that. Like Blaire White was like, yeah, like that there was like a video of like a showing a someone that was claiming to be a trans woman, and it showed their crotch or whatever the fuck, and you could see a massive bulge. Like, so yes, based on what the conservatives are saying, yes, and I don't know why the liberals aren't pushing back on that harder, because I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a liberal brain rot thing of that causes them to not be able to think clearly. I can't think clearly right now, to be fair, but I can still make better arguments at the end of the day and say, like, I'm surprised nobody on the trans liberal side has mentioned the fact that, hey, don't you think it's a little bit fucking weird to like go out in public and film people's crotches, and that maybe the person that was filming was the problem and not the trans person? But oh well, I guess. To each their own.
Encompass the entire trans experience.
No,
and
you're
that's all
right.
I just want to say.
Yeah, I think I see a lot of different points from everybody here. Honestly, like I can understand like how some women may feel unsafe with men in the restroom.
But that's the thing, is trans women feel unsafe in the men's restroom. Like if I don't feel unsafe around trans women. Despite what people might claim about, oh, they're so scary like men because they're biologically male. And if they haven't done HRT, then they're going to have the male sex drive. But if we're going to talk about experiencing, I mean, sure, I haven't really experienced anything my experience isn't very similar to that of a cis woman, because I don't really pass. But people are starting to perceive me to be something more along the lines of that. It's not entirely black and white. It's not clear cut, right? I'm fairly androgynous now. But I am way more scared of the average cis man than the average non-passing trans girl. I feel safe around most trans girls regardless of whether or not they pass, because I know that they're probably not going to hate crime me, first of all. And second of all, I don't know. I feel safer around trans women than cis women, actually. Because, like, if it's a cis woman, it's like, oh, what if she's a TERF? What if she's a TERF and, like, she's, like, also, like, more built than I am, which is not difficult to do. Like, if there's, like, a 200-pound TERF that's, like, 5'9", like, I don't feel, like, that's fucking scary. I don't want to deal with that. Because, like, that person would beat the fuck out of me. So, there's also the risk of that. I don't feel like there's that same level of risk around other trans people. Like, there are some trans people that are a little bit odd, to say the very least, that maybe, okay, I don't feel as safe. Like, there's a few instances where it's like, okay, this person is just fucking weird or whatever, right? And these are instances that are very far and few in between, right? But I really haven't encountered it myself. I've just seen instances of it happening on the internet with, like, I don't know, Jessica Yaniv, who was genuinely a predator, right? But yeah, I wore my femboy outfit in public today on IDK if I'm being schizo. but he followed me for a bit and it was fucking weird. I don't get how people feel safe or unsafe based on what group they are a part of. So so if I, from the perspective of a trans woman, right, I feel safer around other trans women because being a trans woman is a reason that people will target you, right? Not everybody, not even necessarily most people, but some people. But the people that are going to target you tend to not to be trans, right? Because chances are, if somebody commits a hate crime against a trans person, the person committing a hate crime is disproportionately going to not be trans. They're probably gonna be attracted to trans people and find them hot as fuck, which is gonna confuse them sexually, maybe, and infringe upon their false sense of masculine sexual identity or whatever the fuck. And they're gonna be like, oh no, I don't want to be gay. That would be terrible. But it doesn't make you gay, first of all, and even if it did, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, feeling unsafe around men and safe around women? Yeah, it's... And I used to have a similar mindset, like... You have to keep in mind that on average, men tend to be a lot, more physically strong than women. So, even though it's a small minority of men that actually are violent, I don't know which ones are. They're all physically... They're not all. Most of them are physically stronger than me. You're the exception, by the way. Because you're weak and pathetic. But, real men, unlike you, Ryze, are, for the most part, a lot stronger than me. So, if I encounter, let's say, 100 cis men, and over the course of a few months, and one of them is violent towards me, that's fucking scary. But I don't know which one out of 100 is going to be violent. I can't know that beforehand. Right? So that's the thing, is the amount of men that are going to be violent towards women is more statistically significant than the amount of women that are violent towards women, or towards men even, right? That's not to say it doesn't happen. Like, it absolutely happens, and it shouldn't be ignored, and people that ignore it are fucking shitty. People that laugh when, at male abuse victims are fucking evil. But, yeah. Like, goddamn. Fuck yeah, I got you acting up again, Ryze. Ryze, you can't be horny posting in chat. You gotta stay in DMs. I'm not gonna look at DMs right now. I guess you're gonna have to wait. You better not be a bad boy, or else I might have to, I don't know, lock you up, let's just say, to make sure that you're behaving yourself. Sorry for everybody else watching that. I had to, say something to one of the chatters. Anyways, let's continue. Before we pause it and then talk for another 5 hours.
Men, when I say men, I mean men. I'm not talking about trans women. So being a non-binary person that sometimes has the choice to either go into a men's restroom looking like this,
which is fucking terrifying. Again, what do you do as a non-binary person? Like, I struggle with going to public bathrooms in general, if they're not gender neutral. And when a public place has a gender neutral bathroom, or like a bathroom where it's like Like, I just feel this huge sense of relief. Huge sense of relief. Very huge sense of relief. It's like, oh, thank fuck. I don't have to worry about my safety. Right? That's the thing is, and here's the thing, Rise, as a cis guy, or at least somebody that presents as one, I don't know how cis you actually are. I think that the only kind of cis that you are is my little sissy slut. Oh, I'm sorry, that was, I had to. It better not be lagging. Okay, anyways, let's continue. But yeah, no, the fact of the matter is, my entire point was using a blanket trust based on an immutable characteristic seems a bit out there. It's not a matter of trust. It's more about not wanting to put yourself in danger. Like, even if most of the time you'll be fine, if you go out late at night, let's say, okay? You go out late at night and you're walking by yourself in the dark. Most of the time, you're not going to die, right? Even if you're a woman, you're going to be fine. Nobody's going to rob you. You're going to be fine. Most of the time. But a small percentage of the time, let's just say you're not going to be fine.